Hey everybody, I'm back with another video. So I probably won't see you on Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving. I know this is a different setup. My phone is going to die, so, I gotta charge it while I record. Part of the fun of being a non-professional YouTuber, I have non-professional methods. Anyway, so I'm gonna take my idea for today's video on like 3 different other YouTube videos I've seen. There's one regarding the licensing rights with Marvel and Sony and Spider-Man and all that stuff. There's another one by Dorkly about his Spider-Man's, or Marvel Zombie Spider-Man's guilt and hope and stuff like that. And then there's another one, it's called like the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy, the SelfConcept, self-esteem or something like that. So, to begin, I work in like a kids arcade kind of. It's kind of like a poor man's version of Chuck E. Cheese, you could say. But there are kids that walk around with like the MCU Spider-Man armor stuff. They've got like the Infinity War and the Spider-Man Homecoming suit and stuff, all that fun jazz. But it makes me think about Spider-Man, of course, and how, like, he's changed a lot from when I was, when the movies, granted, they make me sound kind of old, but, they've changed from when I was 2 years old, when I was first born, whatever. Because, when I first saw Spider-Man, I was just, like, walking around Walmart, and I saw, like, the old VHS, and with him, like, doing the thwipping pose, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest costume in the history of anything I've ever seen for a 2-year-old. So, I had my dad buy it, and here we are. Now I, run a comic book YouTube channel. But yeah, I love the costume, and then I watched, I'd be at my grandma's house, and like every night before I went to bed, if it came on in time, there was like the 90s cartoon, and there was Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends. And I would watch those in my Spider-Man pajamas. I don't know why I pulled up my shirt or not. But, or I had Batman pajamas too. But, and, like, those were the coolest pajamas ever, because, I mean, side note, but, like, they had the wings, and then the Batman one had the cape, velcroed on there. It was pretty cool. Anyway. But, yeah, in the video, about the self-concept and, like, Spider-Man's, like, self-esteem, it kind of goes over, like, how in those movies, in the Sam Raimi movies, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker, sorry, brain's not working, he has, like, a good idea of self-concept because he lives with his aunt and uncle, and, like, they love him, and that's, that's all the love he needs. He doesn't need, like friends, he's got Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Those are his parental figures. So he doesn't, like, try to be, like, cool or hip to fit in and get a bunch of friends. He's nerdy and dorky because, like, that's the way he was born. He was raised with 2 elderly people, so he has elderly viewpoints, elderly values, respect, manners, all that stuff. So, yeah. And then, but if you look at the MCU Spider-Man, he doesn't really have, like, a good self-esteem, a good self-concept, because he's always trying to please the Avengers. I know what you're thinking. Why are we ragging on the MCU Spider-Man? Everybody has made videos about how the movies aren't Spider-Man, there's no Uncle Ben, all that stuff. But if you think about it, like, I mean, I like the MCU Spider-Man, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of good things about it. It's fun, they're teen comedies, they're pretty lighthearted, they're not supposed to be, like, taken super seriously, whatever, it's a different take on the character. They're not the worst thing to ever be put onto cinema, I don't think, because at least they're not, like, only made for money and a franchise like the Mark Webb Amazing Spider-Man 2. The first one was good, but the second one is kind of just more of a cash grab. Anyway, but, you know, I think they're okay. They're alright. No big deal. But there are a few problems, as I've stated before, with his self-concept is totally different, and it just changes the character. Because again, sure, there's no Uncle Ben, whatever, but his entire thing, his entire mindset and his self-esteem changes, like, even from the comics. Because, okay, in the first issue of Spider-Man, he tried to join the Fantastic Four to get money. Okay, fine, but Spider-Man isn't much of a hero person, a team player, if you will. He's always been like Solo, you know, because he needs money, and most of the other Avengers gig, like, don't have money, or, like, you know, they won't pay him, or they think he's a menace. That's usually, like, kind of like the early stuff, like, you know, Johnny Storm kind of didn't like Spider-Man, like, sometimes they would help him out, but, like, he was kind of a jerk sometimes, and he was, like, you know, a brash teenager. So yeah, his entire viewpoint changes, like, from his original comic, you know, ideologies. Like, even if you ignore Uncle Ben, sure, that's a problem, but there's also, like, you know, like, usually in comics, he isn't trying to, like, please the Avengers. He's not trying to, like, oh, I desperately want to be an Avenger, because it's, like, it's not really who Spider-Man is. And, some minor things I personally didn't like was, in, like, Civil War, when he's, like, a dumpster diver, like, Tony Stark calls him dumpster diver, and that's not really Spider-Man either. Like, I don't think Spider-Man would dig through trash to get computer equipment. Now, granted, I guess you could say that's a different interpretation. It's a more modernized version. Okay, fine, but then there's also, like, the part of him, like, watching Star Wars and Alien and making movie references, like, that just kind of bothers me. It doesn't really seem like Spider-Man to me. But yeah, it's Marvel itself is in a weird place, because, like, they have to change the characters to fit Sony, because if, at least in the video I watched about the rights to the movies, Sony has to change the characters, otherwise Marvel gets to keep the rights to the characters, if that makes sense. So if they made Zendaya like the actual Mary Jane with the red hair and the face it tiger, you hit the jackpot sort of thing, then Marvel would get the rights to that. So they, you know, changed it to Michelle Jones to make it a different character, so that way Marvel doesn't take the rights. That's fine, but it's weird, because, you know, Marvel's just in a weird spot, because, like, again, this is, like, the third Spider-Man we've had in, like, you know, a decade, a good while, because you had, you know, the first three, and then you had the Amazing series, and then you have the John Watts, so they have to, like, they pretty much have to do something different, you know, they can't just take the Sam Raimi movies and call it a day, because then audiences would get bored. Because clearly, you know, I remember, like, I made a video a few years ago complaining about my algebra teacher, because she, you know, complained there was too many Spider-Man reboots, but there was 9 Batman movies at the time, or something like that. But yeah, it bothers me, because again, like, people don't really care about Spider-Man, even though there's, like, he's one of the heroes with, like, the less amount of movies compared to, like, Batman and Superman. So yeah, like, nobody really liked Spider-Man until the MCU Spider-Man came on, because he's fun and goofy and juvenile. But yeah, so they need to change it, because otherwise people will just complain, and it just makes the general audience happy. So yeah, it's understandable that they would change the character, but I feel like it's almost too much of a change to be recognizable, if you will. But that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.